welcome back for the 15th time.
Wow.
15th time. That's you're going to be passing a couple of the old hosts in a little bit. You remember when we first started out? Yeah, way back in the day when you first came on, we had like 6 or 8 of us. Like you're about to pass up a bunch of them. So which is just crazy, but man, we are so excited though to have you back on cuz we were talking before the interview and everything and the fans love you. And we constantly get asked, "When's the forever guest? When's the forever guest? When's the forever?" And we're like, "She's coming. She's busy. We're busy. We're trying to get dates. It's fine." But we finally made it happen, so I'm super excited. Yeah. And you really have.
That's so nice to hear.
Oh, well, they love you, and I think that's evident. I mean, you can see anytime you do anything that your interaction is just fantastic. And it's only, I mean, it makes sense because you're awesome, and you've been really busy in a lot of awesome projects, which like I can't wait to talk about. So one, I think I want to start with The Lincoln Lawyer because, and then we can dive into the films. But The Lincoln Lawyer, just, and for anybody listening, not the Matthew McConaughey film, the series on Netflix, which is just unbelievably fantastic. I mean, I watched season 1, I was hooked. It's like one of my favorite shows. So when I see you pop up, I'm like, what? She's on Lincoln Lawyer? What? I got so excited for that. And so let's talk about it. You play a victim. Which you do so well. I'm telling you, you do it so well. But for anybody who didn't see the shows, you're basically like a victim of domestic abuse. And then I'll let you kind of go more into it because there's a little twist to it about what happens. It's a 2-episode arc, which I love. So talk about it. How exciting was that to get on there? And
it was awesome. I mean, it was actually my first audition of the year.
Oh, okay.
So it was really cool to book it. And when I initially was auditioning, I didn't even know really that it was going to recur. Sometimes you don't get a ton of information. So I just got a little blurb about her and the sides, and that was it. I didn't know what happened to her. I didn't know like anything else, like what was going on with the show or the episodes or any other information. But I just sent my tape in. Wendy O'Brien is the casting director who I had been in for before back when we were doing live auditions, so it feels like a lifetime ago. And then I think the next day by the evening, I'd found out I was like pinned for the role, and then I found out it was going to recur in a couple episodes, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Still trying not to get my hopes up because you never know. And then the next morning, my agent was like calling. He's like, congratulations, you got it. So. So that was cool. It was like my first audition to book and of the year that I booked it. So that was a special, surprise. And I love the show. I remember binge watching the first season while I was shooting another film.
Okay.
Like after I'd wrap up in the evening, I would go back to my hotel room and like watch an episode. So it was kind of a cool, moment of like, oh yeah, like has a special place for me in my heart to actually work on a show that you enjoy is extra special. And working on the show was incredible. I mean, Yaya's, who played opposite me, she's one of the leads in the show. She's just incredible, so kind, encouraging, just lovely, lovely human. The director, Antonio, was amazing. Our writer, producers, everybody was just, as you watch the scene, it's a heavy scene.
Definitely.
And so it's it's a lot to come into when you don't know anyone, when you're just coming in as a guest and you haven't had the history with the show. And so they were so encouraging and kind and just collaborative, and like also just gave me the time I needed to prep and to do the scene. And I got 4 or 5 takes, which you don't always know what you're gonna get.
No, totally.
Shooting, it's a show, it moves fast. And they just, I don't know, it just felt like a really welcoming experience. We actually were joking, I mean, not to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen it, but we were joking at lunch one day that like I could come back as like a ghost.
Yo, totally.
In another episode, and they were like, unfortunately, that's not that's not this kind of show. But if it was, like, we would totally.
They say it's not that kind of show, but he was seeing a bunch of dead people, so know. Why
You
not
never
people
know. You
involved
never
with him
know.
seeing dead people,
Yeah.
right? But
It definitely impacted her character.
oh, and
So
that's what that's what I wanted to talk about because, as you said, she is a lead, and it's Deborah Glass, right? I think was the name Deborah
mhm.
Glass, and she
Yeah.
does play a pivotal role in moving forward how her career goes because of the
Yeah.
mistake that she made and now the repercussions of what. So it's pretty awesome that your character has now shaped her character moving forward about what's going to be or not be, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah.
And it's always, it's always, I think that people don't realize when you're talking about domestic abuse, right? It is a continued trauma even after,
Yeah.
right? Like even though he was now, I guess we're already going to spoil it, but even though he's getting out and supposedly going to visit, and
Yeah.
after he's locked up, you can tell that Deborah is still clearly terrified of this man and traumatized, and that
Yeah.
is something that doesn't go away. And I think the show portrayed that very well. It's like it doesn't matter if he's behind bars. It doesn't matter how safe they deem you are now. If you've been a victim for as long as she was a victim, you don't ever
Yeah.
feel safe again. And so, and I think you portrayed that really, really well. Just that
Thank you.
scene back and forth in her office, like where you're like, are you sure? Kind of, you were very, it was very tense. It was very tense.
Yeah. Well, and it's, and of course, like they always, I'm sure, do a lot of research and base on like, how things could happen. And it's really disheartening to know that like uh he could go to someone like that that's done that kind of abuse for that long could go to a prison for a year and that be it
Yeah.
and that be his time.
Yeah.
And that there's a worry that if we were to go to actual trial, I could lose.
Right.
And that is so devastating that that's kind of the choice I had to make was like, I could lose this or he gets off on them like basically a slap on the wrist
Yeah.
essentially
Yeah.
for,
And
um
and it's
yeah.
it's so powerful because it seems like that's the trend in our justice system with domestic violence victims, rape victims. They become the bad guy. And it's
Yeah.
like, what? As if they somehow deserved it, right? Which is
Yeah.
why the light sentences or the chance of losing in court. And because they vilify the victim, which is just mind-boggling to me. And then the other
Yeah.
thing, the other thing, I want to kind of lighten the tone a little bit and make it more comedic. When we see you next, right? And I'm like, so were you like, I've got this? There's no prep. I know how to be dead. I know how to play on the dead on the ground. Like because I want to kind of say like, what did you do to prepare to be the abuse victim? And then I was just like, because you didn't have to prepare too much to be the dead person because you
Yeah.
do that and you do that really well. Which by the way, it must be like, how do I do this different this time? How do I lay dead
Well,
different this time?
yeah, it was funny. Well, I mean, I say funny, it's not funny, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That was actually my first shooting day was actually the dead.
Yeah.
So that was actually nice in the sense of like I got to meet the crew and the cast
Right.
and kind of get a sense of how they work. And the worst part of that is just like, it's really on the side of a hill and like, they cleared it for me, but there's still bugs and
Yeah,
ants. And
totally.
so I'm just based, I need one of my eyes to, sort of be open.
Right.
So it was mostly like, I would give the thumbs up when I was good, but it was mostly like, just don't look around, Rebecca. Like,
Right.
don't look in the
Right.
crawl because it's not like we're in a studio where it's like fake dirt.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
real. Like we're literally on the side of a mountain. So, but that, that me and Yaya really got to actually connect that day because we got all my footage first, and then when we flipped, they were like, you don't need to lay there, like you can get up, and I was like, you know what, like as an actor, I know what it's like to have to like pretend like somebody's there, so I'll lay there for her, and
Nice.
I think that connected us really deeply for like as actors and artists for then the next scene where we actually had to really connect it just added an extra like layer of like trust and like appreciation and respect for each other.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love that though. And that's why I think we keep seeing you on these huge shows and we keep seeing you working the way you do because you love the craft. You love what you do and you're passionate about it. And cuz let's be honest about it, you know people, I know people, we all know people that would not stay on the ground for that. They'd be getting
Yeah.
up and going to crafty and deal with it, right? So I
Yeah.
love that you are committed like that and you're committed to your other actors like that. Doesn't matter where you are in the call sheet. We're all in it. Let's get it done. And
Yeah.
I love that about you. You said that they did some research. Did you do a little bit of research on domestic violence victims? How did you approach that? Because I mean,
Yeah.
we know
And
the husband,
not
and
to like, yeah,
you're good. So
I
yeah,
don't have any direct experience with that, like
exactly.
directly, but I have a family. I won't go too deep into it, but I have a family member who does, and
Okay.
so that. Sorry,
No, it's okay.
um, that was my way in. Was knowing, like, because my acting coach always says, if you can't fight for yourself, if you don't understand the situation yourself, fight for someone else.
Right.
And that kind of really helped me be able to like fight for this person in my life who had to go through this. That is, so I couldn't fight because I don't understand what that's like for me, thankfully, but she does, and so that's how I approached it from her point of view,
Mm.
and that I think really helped connect me to the material and a connection deeply to it. And it actually really meant something to me. Not that it has to as an actor, we are actors, we're pretending, we're playing pretend, but I don't know, there's just sometimes there's that added extra layer if you can find something that you can connect to, whether it be for yourself or someone else, that hopefully when people are watching, they connect to that too.
That's yeah. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that. You could tell that was really emotional, and so thank you for trusting enough to share that. But it did because I feel you're right. It's like if we don't have the experience ourselves, sadly, we almost all know somebody who has, and
Yeah.
so for you to be able to bring that and bring that connectability, and that's why I said that scene was so powerful when I was watching it because you do connect to you. You do
Yeah.
empathize and feel with you. And so you really did bring that fight to that scene and you could see it. And I think that translates, just it's a credit to who you are as an actress, but also your ability to connect to the audience and draw from real inspiration. And it was
Mhm.
amazing.
Thank
So
you.
I know you're going to get on all kinds of other big stuff. Yeah, so far I'm checking off every because you seem to be popping up on all of my favorite shows, and I'm like, oh, I've got like a list that she still needs to be on, like
Well, if you
so.
could like manifest that list into the universe for me, that would be because
I
you're not the first
mean,
person to say that. I get a lot of friends and fans that are like, "You're on all my favorite shows," and I'm like, "Please keep having favorite shows, putting it out there,
well,
and pop up on
so maybe one we can work right away is we're buddies with Fiona Renee and she's Glory Days, but she's also on Tracker and Justin Hartley. I mean, I think you'd be a
Yeah,
great missing person that he might have to
I think so
find.
too.
Um,
I think so too.
so we can check that one off. Maybe I'll try to manifest
Yeah.
that into existence.
So
That'd
put
be
that
cool.
into the universe for me.
Absolutely. I think it'd be awesome to see you, disappear and have to find you. And who doesn't want to work with Justin Hartley, right? Come on. That'd be
I mean,
awesome.
he's great. He's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. All right. So, but it's not just TV shows. You've also been busy on movies, and what I always like about your movies is that they are so different. Right, all your projects are so different, even though you tend to have a theme, and we'll talk about it. And it could be death, but
Yeah.
or victimized, or beaten, or like I mean, you've had a rough career, person. It's like, oh,
Right.
man.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
when you do something quote unquote well, I
well,
guess.
oh yeah, yeah, and you do traumatized really well. But okay, the first one I want to talk about is The Veil, because this one was it had so many elements to it, so many like supernatural elements and the time travel, if you will, element,
Yeah.
and the question at the end about, wait, what? So the person she was running from the whole time? And so to set it up for everybody, if they haven't seen it, you're kind of like in the Pennsylvania area, and you're, I'm assuming, kind of Quaker, right? Like you're in that,
Yeah,
yeah,
Amish.
yeah, so Amish, and but you're running from somebody, and you come across this young man in a car, and it's set in this late 70s, and he's like, what the hell? What? And he just bails on you. And
Yeah.
then now you're in current time with this old guy who's like a preacher, and he's like trying to help you. And
Yeah.
the Northern Lights are going on. So I'm assuming that like the Northern Lights have something to do with the whole
Yes.
supernatural time travel kind of thing. And that was
Yep.
awesome. So yeah, it was a real interesting twist, because you're like, is this imaginative? Did she really travel? How did she get there? Is this the same person? So talk
Yeah.
about that. Like when you got the script, did you have questions? I'm assuming you're like, okay, what? How's that happening?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's such a hard movie to talk about without giving too much
Spoiling it,
away. So
yeah.
I will try to, tread lightly. But by now, it's like, well,
Oh yeah, it's out there. I think you're
hopefully
good. You're
people
good.
still go watch it. But it's funny, yeah. So Kyle, our producer, who's phenomenal, I met him in acting class like back in
Hmm.
2018-ish, and he was in one class with me, and then I didn't see him again, but we just followed each other on social media, and he sent me the script in like January of 2022 and was like, "Will you take a look at this?" And he just, gave me the name of the character and the log line and said, "If you're interested, I'll send you the script." And I was like, "Yeah, this sounds amazing." But he didn't really explain too much about it. He didn't say like, "Oh, she's one of the leads." Like it just was like, "This is the character," whatever.
Right.
So I'm reading the opening, and he drives off, like you said, and leaves her there. And then in the script, I love that they didn't put this in the movie, that they just left it for you to figure out that like time had passed.
Yeah.
But in the script, so that we know time has passed, because there's no way visually to do it, it said, 40 years later. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I'm just in the opening.
Right.
That's cool.
Right.
Like I get it. Like that's kind of my bread and butter is the running away, crying, screaming girl. So like that's very kind of them to think of me. And part of me was like, I guess I'll just stop reading." Like I was like, but I was like, no, I'll finish the script because I do want to know what happens.
Right.
And then, of course, it introduces her and saying that no time had passed for her.
Right.
And I
Right.
was like, oh, I'm in. Like and I sat and I finished in one sitting, and I was like, I got to figure out what's going on. I got to, what's happening? Where is this? And at the end, I cried at the end because I thought, what a just like beautiful full circle for her to then decide what kind of life she was going to have at the end. And
Right.
I love that you left it ambiguous, and like, is she going to go back to her Amish life? Is she gonna go away from that? Like, because that's such a big decision for that community. I was so lucky to talk to a woman who used to be in the Amish community, and we talked for like an hour and a half on Zoom, and I could ask her anything I wanted, and those kind of questions I could ask, because that impacts how big those decisions are for someone like her character. And like leaving in the first place is huge. And because once you're married, you cannot get divorced. There is
Right.
no divorce
Right.
there. You can separate yourself, but you can't get divorced. That means you can never get married again. So getting married the first time is a huge decision. And then, if you decide to join the church, and then you decide to leave, you are excommunicated,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you are from your family, from your friends, everyone, you cannot be associated with them anymore. And that again is a huge, I mean, as Rebekah, thinking about having never speaking to my family again is like horrific.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to even imagine. So, being able to talk to her and understand that life, because there's only so much research you can do on that community. You can watch. I mean, I watched some documentaries. I read a bunch, but there's still only so much you can find. So talking to someone in person, in like face to face like this, was everything, because there was nothing I couldn't ask,
That's
and so
awesome.
much of that information helped me form the character. And so yeah, so when I was reading it, I was like, I had to know everything, and some of it Cameron answered, and some he said, "What do you think?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that that you could watch it again and maybe pick up stuff you missed the first time, like, the clock and why it keeps changing, and like what that significance is, and the aurora, like what that is. And it's kind of like a mini Twilight Zone
It
episode.
is. Totally. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
totally agree with that. And okay, I'm just going to peg myself here with my age because
Yeah.
I didn't need the 40 years later to tell, because I recognized that it was Jimmy Carter on the radio that he was listening to. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then we move forward and it's newer cars and I'm like, "Okay, well we were in the 70s and now we're
Yeah.
clearly not." So I didn't,
Clearly not. Yeah.
I recognized Jimmy, so I knew right away we weren't in the 70s anymore, but
Yeah.
but I
Definitely.
do love though that it is one of those that it's open ended. It's like, what do you think is going on here, right? Like immediately, I knew I had this. As soon as I saw him, I was like, "Ooh, is that the guy that drove off, or is
Yeah.
that somebody?" Right? Immediately, that was my thought. So when I get confirmed, I'm like, yes, okay, but now why? Right? And then you're diving into, wait a minute, why is he? Why is
Yeah.
it him? And what is going on? And so I like any project that can really make you think. And the one that you have to kind of go back and watch again, going, did I see what I thought I saw, or what's going
Yeah.
on here? And again, though, this one speaks to desperate situations and victimized people and what they're forced to do in situations like that. And I joke about it, but then I'm not really joking. You have a fantastic way of portraying these type people. It's believable every time we see you, even though every one of these characters is so drastically different, except for the fact that they've been victimized in some
Yeah.
way.
Hmm.
But you're believable in every role, and so I find it amazing every time you pop up. I'm like, wow, she goes, from. I don't know. I just, everything we see from you, and I'm just like, wow, this is like, how do you pull off all these different victims in so many different ways and make it believable, right? Because I mean, sometimes, like you said, it's the
Yeah.
curse of, if you do something really well, but then you find you get typecast and you're
Yeah.
basically playing the same thing over and over, and that's what you do not do.
Oh, thank you.
You're not playing the same. It's so totally different. And so I think that's just a huge credit to your acting skill, is that you can pull that off. Okay, yes, this is a victim, this is a victim, this is a victim, but this victim won't be anything like this victim. And so, yeah, that's
Thank you.
incredible.
I mean, you have no idea how much that means to me, what you just said. Thank you so much, because actors get so worried about being typecast.
Yeah, yeah,
But I try to explain to them that are newer, just because you're playing a doctor doesn't mean it's the same doctor as
exactly.
this doctor or this lawyer or this victim or this bad guy are not all the same. They shouldn't be. There should be things that are different, and because they are completely different people, even though they're coming still from you. And that's so, like, you saying that is like such a huge compliment, because that's what I worry about sometimes, is like, are these all going to just kind of blend together, and I'll just be like, oh, there's Rebekah again doing her same her
Uh,
same thing.
No, I gotta
Yeah, it
tell you,
means a
it's
lot.
genuine. Logan and I have been following you for like 7 years. We've become friends, and we watch everything you do, and at this point we're brutally honest. So if you start
Yeah,
to fall into the trap, we will tell you.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Probably not publicly like that, but we'd say, "Oh, hey, that was kind of
You're
similar
like
to the last
we're
one."
on the journey. You're like,
Yeah, yeah.
Rebekah, I have some notes for
Because
you.
we want to work with you, and we're like, the last thing we want is for you to be typecast. We're like, no, you gotta, yeah, hey, back off that one. We
Yeah,
gotta,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But it's, everything we tell is genuine, and so you do just a phenomenal job. Okay, and I just watched on the day that we're recording this, Crust, and
Yes.
I have to say, this is the most creative way you've ever died.
Yes.
That was
Yeah, that is
very
true. That is
interesting
true.
and terrifying and creepy. Just like the whole. I don't want to give too much away because this one's still relatively new, and I don't want to
Relatively
try to
new.
spoil
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But and I just did by saying you died. But that the licking part, like at the, I'm like, well, what is going? It was
Yeah.
so kind of, but okay,
I definitely, when I read that script, I did not expect the ending.
oh yeah, no,
I
no,
don't really know
because
what I expected. I expected somehow it would work out just because like that was what I wanted to happen.
right.
Um, but obviously, it doesn't without, giving away too much. But um, it's such a fun character and fun script and fun film. I mean, it's like so different, which like you said is so great because it's like I have two couple projects out at the same time, but they're so wildly
Oh
different.
yeah, yeah.
Something kind of for everyone,
And
based on whatever you like,
Crust is again, and we should say, right, Sean Whalen, and like and you guys are friends, and
Mhm.
that's awesome. But I mean, it's just really creatively brilliant. I mean, this is a very odd story and very just out there kind of, when you're watching it, you're going,
Yeah.
what am I looking at right now? But I love how it's all, again, this is a movie that makes you think and you start questioning, is this real? Is this in his head? Like,
Yeah.
is anybody else seeing what's going on, kind of a thing?
Uh-huh.
And so anytime it questions and makes you think, and then another thing that I think this film does really well, and then it kind of twists it at the end, is that you feel for him. You feel for him
Yeah.
throughout, right? Paul is the guy that you're rooting for, and then I don't want to say it,
I
but
know it's so hard to like
I
completely
know,
pull
but then yeah, but
away.
then because typically you want to find, even if you know they're really not a good person, you look for the redeeming quality that you can still root for them, even though they're kind of like, but from the get-go
Right.
you think, well, that's not him, because Paul just has had all this crap and he's just a guy down, right? And you're rooting for him the whole time, and then you're kind of like, twist. So but your character too, what I loved about Nilla is that when you expose the scar and you're like, oh, wait a minute, so she's been there too, and
Yeah.
which is a really powerful moment, because you're not
Mhm.
I didn't, and I'm usually pretty good at catching themes like that, so, and I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to see that. And then the
Yeah.
other twist when you're revealed and he goes crazy on you. Why?
Yeah.
But then he forgives you, and then even more so, I'm like, what's going on at the end? Like, what? So I'm trying to do
I
my
couldn't
very
accept,
best, yeah,
I
to
couldn't
not
accept
spoil.
the family that they put forth. So,
Oh yeah,
but I mean, those are layers. Like that's why, as an actor, I wanted to do these films, like
yeah,
because there is more to her than meets the eye. And at the end of the day, like many of us, she's looking for someone to love her and like a place to belong. And she's been where he has been and recognizes that in him and wants to help because she wants him to know there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
right.
There is another side to this. This doesn't last forever, even though it feels like it. And that's, I think, Sean, brilliantly put, a look at mental health in a fun
Yes,
picture movie. We don't have to beat someone over the head with a message to have a message in there. Um, and that there is no really shortcut to mental health and all the work we have to do it. And it's so hard because you're not going to, like he said, you're not going to see results for months. But you have to do the work now in order to one day be able to see the results. And that's so hard. Um, and for all the different kind of characters, they're all going, his Danny, who plays his friend Russ, is going through, losing his wife,
right,
dying, and
right.
everyone's kind of dealing with their struggle in a different way. But it's real,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. No, so yeah, I absolutely love everything about that, and we've talked about it, just off of interviews and stuff, just personally, about how
Yeah,
you can use art to inform, but not necessarily, like you said, beat somebody over the head with your message, but to entertain while also informing. And I think if you
yeah,
can use the platform or the art to do that, because everybody will sit down and talk about this movie because it's out there and it's like, oh my gosh, did you see that? But then you do start diving into the deeper aspects and the mental health
yeah,
aspects. And I think what was really good, and you said it, each one of them was kind of dealing with their mental health issue in a very different way. it they each one of them reacted. Obviously your character like almost took the route of taking her own life, but then kind of
yeah,
like came out. He has become a complete introvert and just basically in hiding from life, if you will, right? And so
right,
the way they're all very different, But the one thing that they all have in common, and this is the theme that I got throughout, is in the end, they all just genuinely want to be seen. They just want to be seen. Like you said, someone to see them and love them. And I feel like if you look at each one of the characters in this film, that is the underlying theme. That is what they are desperately looking for, is for someone to really see them. And it's done brilliantly. I love that. I think that each one of the characters is portrayed really well. And
who couldn't relate to that?
No, exactly. Because that's
relate to like wanting to, especially in the social media age that we're in, which is great and bad. People want to be seen.
Yes.
They want to be heard. They want to know that they matter and that someone thinks that what they have to say is important.
That's right.
So, that's where I got into her was that way, with like me, Rebekah, understanding as an actor, as an artist, wanting my work to matter, wanting someone out there to like think that it does, and struggling when you're still not known enough, and like so there's all of the stuff that I totally related to her in that, and the same as like Hannah in the Veil. Like it's just always just finding like what can I relate to these characters and how I can find my way into them that way.
And I have to tell you too, she's so tender. She's so sweet. I was picking up on, I don't know if anybody else watching this thing is picking up on it, but I was picking up on it. The subtle touches to him all the time. The reassuring, I love you. Sometimes that's so critically important to a person, that reassurance of the pat on the shoulder, or the holding of the hand, or the placement on the chest, and I picked up on that throughout. I'm like, she genuinely is concerned about this guy, and she didn't go in that. She had an agenda, but then when she saw what was happening to him, she realized this is very much like herself, and so, but I love that. I thought the little nuances that you did throughout to represent how she really felt about him, it felt genuine, and it felt like, and I was thinking, is that because they are friends and there's a genuine connection there, or is she just like giving an Oscar performance? Because it felt very genuine. The subtle little things that you did to reassure the love felt very, very real.
Well, it's funny you say that, because we were friends before, but we weren't really great friends. We were more acquaintance friends.
Yeah.
Like, we had the same management for years. We did a movie. We didn't have any scenes together, but we were in the same film together. So we'd like see each other at events, and like he would come to my birthday, I'd go to his birthday. But the four of us, like, he's married and I'm married. We like did not hang out. Like, him and I did not hang out. Like, we were not that kind of friend. And but I think he saw something in me as we click, we understand each other. We both look a lot younger than we are.
Yeah.
We played a lot of kind of quirky, weird, oddball characters. This is like my first romantic lead in a film. Like, no one's ever given me that opportunity before. And I think him and I just like clicked in that way, that we understood like we're both kind of have gone through similar things in our careers. And, for me as an actor, like to get the opportunity to do, both of these movies and these roles doesn't come around every day for someone like me. It would be easy for them to give these to much more established actors. So I feel very like blessed and lucky to have gotten the opportunity to bring them to life. But of course, through the process, Sean and I have become really good friends, and now we're business partners, and now we're working on our next film together, actually.
Nice.
But when we were filming, we were both in the same spot. Neither one of us had played these kind of roles before. We were both taking a huge risk on like, is this going to work or not? And if it fails, like, it's egg on both of our faces,
Yeah.
So you saying that means a lot, because that's what we were wanting, was like for us to have the chemistry and have, people believe that the relationship was real.
Oh, the chemistry. Yeah. The chemistry is totally there. You feel a genuine, he's hesitant at first, right? And that's a part of the storyline or whatever. But when he finally makes the phone call and sets the, you can see it. And even him not wanting to go further on the first date shows a sign or a level of respect that he has for her, because he wants it to work, kind of a thing, and that played well. But the chemistry, yeah, throughout between the two of you, and so and because you were very tender and very sincere and very likable, right? As like I felt like the whole time you're watching it, people are watching it going, "Oh, she's a sweet girlfriend. That's the kind of girl I want to date." You know, she's very loving and very endearing, and so I think you're gonna get more offers for romantic leads. I think, you know, people that watch that are gonna go, "Hey, yeah, no, this is our girl right here. Let's do that." So I think you did it really well. And
Thank you, Dustin.
everybody, it's on Fandango right now, and you know,
And it will be dropping on Amazon, as well as like Apple TV and all those other places.
oh yeah,
Um,
fantastic.
Having a little
And
technical issue, but like that should all be fixed.
yep, and Tubi, the Veil is on Tubi,
Uh-huh.
and so
And Apple and
and
Amazon
Apple, and yep, and obviously Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. So yeah, I mean, you guys, all three things that we've talked about today, you can find them and go watch them, and I highly recommend
yes.
that you do. They're all fantastic and entertaining,
Thank you
and
so much.
you'll have a really good time. Okay. So since you've been the last time that you've been on, we've added this little thing for this season, you know, because we're in our 7th year now. We got to keep it fresh. We're
Yeah.
throwing these like little questions out. Some of them are fun. Some of them are like Barbara Walters get deep for a moment kind of a thing. But so I'm gonna
I know,
hit you with them.
I'm scared.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
so scared.
I already made you cry. I'm like, maybe we don't ask that. Okay, so the first one's real easy, and I'm interested to see the funniest moment or most memorable moment you've ever had on a set.
That's a great question. So this would be from Crust,
Okay.
as far as recently. So the bed scene, you'll know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
at the end. We filmed the first night.
Oh.
It's like, kill me, right? As an actor, you're like, hello, nice to meet you. Like, this is like the worst scene, but that's just, we had to film everything in the back office first. So
Yeah,
that's just how it worked out.
yeah,
And so we were filming it gonna have to move it after lunch. And I was like, oh, I don't want to film this after lunch. And he was like, why? Like, what are you worried about? Like, we're only going to see from your neck up. Like, were you worried about bloating? Like, don't worry about it. And like, I was like, okay. Like, it was a very small room, not a real bed. It was like a makeshift mattress,
yeah,
couch cushions pushed up against,
yeah,
we set up, and they're setting in the lighting, and they were like, okay, you guys can take a minute or whatever. And so Sean was like, I have to go to the bathroom. So he goes to the bathroom, and he comes back, and I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. So I go back, and I come back, and he goes, I have a confession to make. I didn't have to go to the bathroom. I had to fart. And I was like, me too.
That is hilarious.
So
That is
that
hilarious.
was our worry, that we were going to both have to
Yeah,
fart
yeah,
in the, because it's like, you're already nervous. I already have a nervous stomach as an actor. And so, when you're nervous, that stuff starts bubbling. And that was my worst fear, was like just to like fart in the middle of that space. Thankfully, it did not happen. So that was great that he admitted it, and I did the same thing. So that kind of
fantastic.
broke the ice immediately for us.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I love the play on words. That stuff starts bubbling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, second one. And this one's interesting. I'm really curious about this one. If you could live in a film or television show, which one would it be and why?
Ooh, that's great. Like anyone, or when I'm living?
Anyone, any film or TV show, if you could live in it and that would be your life, which one would it be and why?
I feel like, okay, I'm just gonna go with the first thing that popped in my head.
No,
The
do
Good
it.
Place. The Good Place
Oh,
with
okay.
Dustin.
Yeah, no, The Good Place. Yeah.
I know it's like, it sucks because you're dead, but I don't know, it just looked like they're like just having a lot of fun. Or The Middle, that would be another one. Like, I'm a huge fan of that show. So I'm working with Sean O'Brien, who worked on The Middle.
Yeah.
Was like so great for me, because at the time they announced he was going to be in it, I was like binging The Middle,
Sure.
and I was like in that phase where I was just like watching the same thing over and over again. And so I'd say that that show too would be really fun.
Okay, yeah, no doubt. Wait, well, yeah, in The Good Place, because like, what would it be like if you were dead and this is your life? It's kind of an
But
interesting
yeah,
thought.
and it
Yeah,
doesn't seem so bad.
yeah, no. Well, they didn't make it seem so bad, right? Like,
Like all the shows I love are like, I wouldn't want to live in The Walking Dead. I don't want to live in like prisons. I don't want to be in Orange is the New Black. Like, I don't want to be in Handmaid's Tale. No, thank you. Like all the things I think of that I'm like, oh, I love this show. don't want to live in
Yeah,
it.
no, would never want to be in it though. Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, curious about this one because I feel like you probably have a list. If you could work with any actor or actress, who would it be?
Oh, I do have a list, a long
But
list.
you got to give me one, the definitive one that if you had a shot,
One.
yeah, you'd take it.
Okay, so one, so like I said, there are so many, so just
Oh
like the
yeah.
list goes on. The one right now that I absolutely just like love is Florence Pugh.
Ooh, yeah.
So I definitely like, I mean, there's just so many, but like her right now is just, I just feel like she's taking such like risks, and I love her work, and she just really is just all in all the time, no matter what part it is. So yeah, she'd be
Yeah,
one that I
that's a
would like to follow.
great pick. Her range is insane, and you're right. Like she's not scared to take risks, and yeah, I love that. I love that. Good pick. Good. Okay, here we go. Now I promise I'm not trying to make you cry. Number 4. If you could go back in time and tell your 10-year-old self something, what would you tell her?
That's good. That's good. And I'm probably gonna cry. So thanks, Dustin.
No
No,
problem.
I mean, because at that point I hadn't started acting yet,
Right,
but I
right.
wanted to be. I wanted to be an actor. Um, so I think I would tell myself like, give it time.
There you go.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, give yourself time because it's just everything takes time. I tell that to like any actor that's like wanting to be an actor. I'm like, it takes time to like book, it takes time to audition, it takes time to get rep, it takes time to like do anything in this business unless you're just insanely lucky or have family that helps. um, so just I would tell myself just like give myself time and like it's coming. Just be patient.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because I think that's the thing, right? Everybody, patience is the hardest thing. Like in this industry, it really is. It can defeat you real quick if you don't have it, and it really is.
Yeah.
And the last one,
And I would tell myself, don't cry so much over those guys because they're not worth it. The
love it.
one is
The
coming, but
one
like
is
don't
coming.
spend so much time like about the guys that are not worth it.
Oh, I love that. There you go. Personal and professional advice for the 10-year-old. I love that.
Yeah, for my
And both
10-year-old
great.
self.
Yeah. And your good one came, so there you go. Okay, last one. And I feel like, are you happy with your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's always things I want to be doing more of,
Right.
right? Like I'd love to be on a show more regularly. I would love to do, I have a laundry list of things that I still want to do. And so I hate to say like, no, I hate it because I know how many people would like to be doing what I'm doing.
Right.
So to be a working actor is a blessing. So I feel both like happy and also still in the want of more.
Sure.
If
Yeah.
that makes
And I think, no, that yeah, for 99.9% of the guests that we've asked that question, that is the answer. I'm happy with where I'm at and I'm appreciative for everything I have. But as an actor, of course, I want to continue to grow and still do more stuff. And I mean, yeah, duh. Doesn't mean.
Right, because if you say like no, then it's like you're negating everything that you've done so far.
Exactly. Exactly.
So many people would be like, I'd love to just do one of those shows. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
staying humble and grateful for what I have and knowing that like there hopefully is more to come.
Oh, there definitely is. And there's a reason we've had you on the show 15 times. You are just genuinely a good human being with a good heart, and you're doing things right in life, and you're doing things right in the career, and you're trying to help others do that, and good things happen for people like that. And you're just getting started. Wholeheartedly, I believe it. So and thank you for coming on 15 times.
Yeah, thanks for having me and like watching all these projects and supporting me and supporting the films. That's means so much.
Oh, of
truly.
course. That's how we all get through this thing, right? That's how we all live the dream and get to do what we do, is help each other. That's how it
Especially
works.
for like little, indie films that
Oh,
are,
for
don't
sure.
have huge budgets.
Yeah.
To have like someone out there championing them at any point is awesome.
Oh, completely agree. Completely agree. Well, listen. Well, quickly, even though I feel like everybody, knows already, but where can they find you on social media? Because we want everybody to follow you.
Here.
Yes, in case you're new here.
I'm on Instagram at Becca, BEKHK. I'm also still on Twitter. I can't call it X. I don't know. It's just,
Totally. I still say Twitter.
So I'm still on there, even though there's like been a mass exodus, but I'm still on there for now because I do have a lot of fans still there.
Yep.
And then of course Facebook as well. So
fantastic. Well, we, as always, will direct everybody there in case any of our followers or fans haven't, but we know. But we do have some new ones. We've been getting a lot of new ones, so we'll send them that way. And then, as always, I won't even say open invite because at some point you will be back on. I think our goal is to get you to like 100.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, right? Like, come on. We're closing in real quick on the big 25. So, that. Yeah, it'll be awesome. But thank you so much.
Keep working. So
absolutely. Listen, thank you so much. As always, though, we genuinely appreciate you and everything you do and your support for us. You've been there since day one, genuinely, and you're always so supportive and you promote us and we really appreciate that. And we can't thank you enough, as always, for all the years of support. Have fun. Tell the husband we said hello.
Thank you again for having me, and we'll look forward. So, if I don't know if you saw, because I don't expect anyone to keep up with what I'm doing, but the same filmmakers I did Two Witches with, they made another film.
Okay.
It's doing the film festival circuit right now, so hopefully it'll be out next year. So definitely we'll be back for that.
Yes.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm gonna like, I've already started. You just don't know. But as soon as we are off of here, it's like full manifestation. We're gonna get you on Tracker. We're gonna make that happen somehow, some way. I'll get Ken's number.
I gotta bring all the other people on with me.
Absolutely. Look, I'll see what I'll do. I'll make some calls. We'll get Ken Olin's number. We're like, come on, man, let's get this happen. Let's do it. All right, listen, take care, have fun, and we'll be in touch soon. And just thank you. We love you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Take care.